As you approach the gaming table, the figure of a monster takes shape. A beast that cares not for his fellow gamers and desires nothing but self-gratification. You've heard this creature called an optimizer, and even a munchkin. But you recognize the atrocity before you for what it is. A power gamer. What do you do?
I use Charm Monster.
Invariably, there's some sort of figurative monster rearing its ugly head in our tabletop games. It's rare that we can slay these beasts outright, so instead, we use Charm Monster.
Hey guys, it is Tim and James with Tabletop Terrors, and on this episode of Charm Monster, the topic we're going to be talking about is power gamers. This is something that's pretty hot in the community right now, and it's cyclical. I think this has come up and will continue to come up forever. So I'm going to throw it to James because everybody has kind of a different idea, and there are varying degrees and micro terms, semantics kind of terms. But I'm going to throw it to James first. What do you think about power gaming? What is it to you, or however you want to run and jump into this? What do you think about power gaming?
So when I hear the term power gamer, I think of someone that optimizes to make their character as good as possible. My buddy, who could conceivably consider a power gamer, I've never played RPGs with him, but he told me a story once of how he was looking on some forums and he decided to make this character that through some sort of loophole in Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, he was able to make a druid that was able to make infinite attacks during a turn, and he was able to split the world in half. Now, that doesn't sound like a very fun character to play with as far as being at the table. If I'm looking to role play and have a really deep conversation, or, a sort of a real cool collaborative storytelling, because it sounds like, technically speaking, this guy can kill anything. Well, then it's up to the DM, okay, well, is the campaign about killing anything? Is the campaign about splitting the world? I feel like somebody could make a power gamey character, but still role play and have a good time.
Right.
I think sometimes people say power gamer and they think, it encompasses for them every bad player they've ever sat down with.
Exactly.
Like a metagamer.
Exactly. Oh, God. Exactly. So, I want to tell you what I think my definition of a power gamer is.
And I think that's important. So what do you consider a power gamer?
This to me, because there are a lot of things, and it's funny, there are a lot of things out there that you could consider a power gamer, and there's several videos that are going around that are commenting on each other like, well, I disagree with that, and a power gamer is this, and a power gamer is this. Let me tell you what I think it is, and it's anyone whose focus entirely is selfish.
Yeah, or another way to put that is somebody that goes into the game trying to win. They've optimized to quote unquote win the game.
That was going to be my exact next thought, which is they are selfishly, and well, why do I say that? I mean selfish because everything that they're coming up with is to win and takes nothing else into account. It doesn't take into account the other players. It doesn't take into account the GM, the DM. It's a collaborative storytelling game. So a power gamer, to me, is someone who sits at the table and decides that they are not going to sit and play a game with others, but they're going to sit and play their game, and others will be present.
Yeah. So to sort of put a point on that and give you a little bit of the opposite side of the coin, sort of, think about a cooperative board game. So Pandemic is a good example, a board game where you try to fight diseases around the world, but the players you're with you're all fighting for the same thing, and you're all trying to win. And there are a few board games like that. Arkham Horror is another really good one. Mansions of Madness. And in that actual situation, it is the players against a GM, a game master that is trying to thwart them. Now, if I'm playing one of those games, I want everybody around me to be a power gamer. I'm trying to win the game.
Right.
Now, that's the important thing. All of it comes down to your definitions of certain things, and then this begins to radiate, and suddenly two people don't have the same idea of what a power gamer is.
And so, with that said, you might already be like, what? Tim is so wrong. He's just describing a jerk. Well, hear me out. Go down the list of symptoms. Like if you say, a power gamer is someone they try to make their character optimized or as powerful as possible so that they can basically trump the mechanics or win. Well, to do what? To take the spotlight. So their character can always be the one that drops the orc. So their character can be the one that jumps the highest or saves the day with that high charisma roll. So that's what I'm saying. At its core, to me, the difference between somebody who optimizes and the difference between a power gamer is the power gamer's intention is to abuse it selfishly as often as possible and exploit it.
Exactly. I think words like exploit or abuse are important because the idea being, again, that a power gamer is somebody who is trying to go around the mechanics. Even if they don't do that in a way... Even if they don't do that in a way that is... I don't know what I'm trying to say. That's what it is. So the important thing to remember here is, and this is why it's so opinionated and polarizing, is personally I feel like a power gamer, that term is for somebody that goes against the spirit of the rules. They try to make a character that can break this system. So the difference between optimization and power gaming is one of them. Optimization is you put your highest stat in your most important, your most important skill. So if I am if I'm a fighter, it's going right in strength. My 18 that I rolled is going in strength. That's that.
You didn't roll an 18. Who was there?
That's optimization. That's not power gaming. Power gaming would be, okay, I put my 18 in strength, and then I get this feat that allows me to attack 3 times during a turn, but then I do this thing where I want to attack as a free action. So as a free action, I attack 3 times.
Right.
And it's like, so as a DM, I'm thinking, no. Like, my answer is just, no, that's against the spirit of the rules.
But James, what if it's written like that in the rules? And this is where I always come down to, it goes against the spirit of the rules. The rules are designed to keep boundaries on our storytelling so that there are limits which create challenges, and that those challenges give a sense of reward when we overcome them.
Exactly. It goes against the spirit of the rules, but in some cases, in the case of a board game, usually that is your enemy, or rather your opponent, is the rule system itself. So, again, I feel this is very opinionated because it comes down to what you want to do. If there is a group of people out there that's what they love to do, and they all sit down knowing what they're getting themselves into, nobody can tell them that's wrong. If they all try to outdo each other and steal the spotlight and that's what they like, that's what RPGs are for. They get to do what they like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because again, I feel like it's important to make the distinction that saying a power gamer is bad is unfair. Because a power gamer may not be what you're looking for. Take another example. What other players don't you like to play with? Some people don't like playing with metagamers. The idea that somebody uses knowledge outside the game to be better inside the game, some people really don't like that.
And encourage others to be better inside the game. Oh, you know what? Oh, throw me the ruby because I have this spell. And it's like, well, yeah, but you don't know I have the ruby.
Exactly. And that's where it's like, okay, well, that's just another example. But that's not a power gamer. That's just somebody that either chooses not to play within, the confines of the game, or does so knowingly because, again, they want to win. Now, the other important thing is there is no rules of how you're supposed to play RPGs. When we play with our family, they like to go in, talk to one guy, get a quest, and kill everything. And we have a good time, beer and pretzel gaming, playing RPGs with our family. I'm not going to try to fit a role-playing encounter in because they're going to kill that guy. Or, they're going to try to find... They enjoy hitting stuff with their weapons. They enjoy casting spells on stuff. So I know that going in, even as a player or as a GM, this is what we're in for. So, again, I feel like it's not just power gamers. And as you mentioned earlier, it's cyclical. But really, okay, what is the one piece of advice everyone gives someone when they post on Reddit or they post on Facebook and say, I have a player that shows up late, doesn't role play, and nobody likes him and he's always a jerk. What is the one piece of advice that is always given?
Get rid of that player.
Don't play with that player. Well, so again, it all depends, because that may be what that player enjoys. Whatever it is. Now, if they're just being an outright jerk,
Sure.
that's different. But if you have a power gamer at your table and they're constantly doing things to try to make themselves better, and they're metagaming, or they're doing things that you don't like, don't play with that player. But in the same way that if you sat down with a group of power gamers and you tried to roleplay, they might not like that. It's like, well, don't play with them.
No, it makes sense. And everything you're saying is spot on. Let's say in the book it's printed that all of these feats, these attack feats, say can't be used with multi-attack. And then the one doesn't. When that power gamer just says, well, it doesn't say it. Again, it's that selfish not asking.
Exactly.
Whereas you said the optimizer says, hey, I see the way that this is written. I don't want to exploit the system too much. Really what I'm looking for is that, to me, the optimizer is thinking of someone else. He's thinking of the game master who's put in hours. He's thinking of the other players around the table. So again, to me, when I think power gamer, it all comes down to selfishness. And let me tell you what, why don't we? Why don't we start a serial group of power gamers? All of you can get together, and if that's how you have fun, start a network. Instead of the tabletop RPG one-shot group, it could just be like the power gamers that French kiss each other group. And you guys can all get together, and you can have that.
Well, and that brings up a really good point, because after all this talk, a few people said they wanted to start a power gamery type game. Now, the important thing is, because I feel this is such an opinionated topic, I would love to see how that plays out. Because I wonder, will they break the game, or will they just optimize to no end? If the point is to optimize, what will be the challenge? If it just comes down to, whatever the quest they have to go on, I wonder how that will work, because, again, if that's how they want to play, they can, but it may just not be your flavor.
And let me tell you inherently why I would not have fun in that game. We have been charged by the game master or the dungeon master to go and make a rare and beautiful, powerful snowflake. So you've heard we've had the discussion in the past that each player has a spotlight, and if you shine that spotlight, basically you get a chance to shine that spotlight on your turn. Do you shine it on yourself? Do you shine it on an NPC, another player? To me, it is going to be, I'm guessing, a clawing, biting, stabbing festival to show how optimized they are. And the reason why I wouldn't like it is because I can't imagine synergy in that. I imagine, no, let me watch how much I do as far as damage goes. Watch how many times I can hit. I just can't even imagine them working together. Now, that would be fun to watch, but I would never want to play in that game, even once, I don't think.
Exactly. Now, okay, so we haven't talked about this, but I want to take this and sort of turn it on its head. What if you made a group of power gamers, or what if what if they decided to power game through a roleplay scenario? What is different? Why wouldn't they be able to do that?
It depends on what you mean, because some GMs or DMs, do you mean like...
So I mean like
they can't just do it with a charisma roll. You're going to make me talk to your character and go back and forth and converse with you.
Exactly. I guess that's what I mean is, again, it comes down to that rule system. Without a rule system, there can't be power gamers. So the most important thing for me is, just like you said, there are certain types of games I enjoy playing in, and I enjoy fleshing out characters and collaboratively building worlds, and that goes against what power gamers seem to enjoy doing. So I guess that's why it isn't for me. But again, I guess the main thing I want to say is, just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's bad. Every power gamer isn't a jerk, and every power gamer doesn't show up late. It's like, I think that's the most important thing, is people are labeling power gamers as like, it's literally a prejudice. I don't want to get sort of stupid soapboxy, but the idea is saying all power gamers are this.
Well, do you think, so then let's take it to that. Do you think that all power gamers are selfish?
In the context of power gamers, yes. I think that it is a selfish mentality to play that way. But
because I'm trying to draw a line between optimizers and power gamers.
And I think you did that very well. Exactly. I think, again, going against the spirit of the rules and the selfishness involved with being a power gamer, I think that's the important part. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if all of them are okay with everybody being selfish, let them have that. That doesn't make it bad. It may go against what you feel is RPGs.
No, I agree. You're right. And that is probably the wisest piece of advice for anything that you don't agree with. Additions and homebrew rules, whatever the hot button is for the week.
Because some things are evil or some things are illegal, but beyond that, it's opinion based. It's what you like. So what do you think? What do you think a group of power gamers looks at role players like? What do you think? Do you think they have a stereotype for role players?
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, I am going to make this up right now. They're like, oh God, all they want to do is talk. It's so stupid. All they want to do is just talk back and forth. Oh, give me the magical mask. Oh, but first you must win my love. And it's like, stab that guy and take the mask.
Exactly. And so I will take this fake example you made and I will dissect it in the same way that we've dissected power gamers.
Sure.
That is very one-sided because it's like, well, it's not all talking. I mean, they fight. But the important thing is, when they do fight, when they take a hit, they make it mean something. When they take damage from something, they turn it into more of a story instead of, I take 9 hit points and I have 1 left. In a role-playing game, and the game's like literally a game of role players, I think that, like, for me personally, hit points never come up. It's even more fun for me when the DM asks after an encounter, how low were you? Because even the DM doesn't know.
I totally agree.
They only have your description going. Everybody is having a great time. Even the DM, they're telling the story and they're seeing how you react. And
like when the DM is surprised when you drop, you're doing something that's fun for me.
Exactly. That's the important thing. In the same way that is fun for me, I can see how doing 100 damage because you got a critical hit and took a really cool feat that allowed you to re-roll damage would be, there's something triumphant about that. But again, you have to be okay with it. If you're okay with going against the spirit of the rules of the way it's, it should play out and the idea that they have, that's okay.
Because, no, you're right.
Remember that at its core, it's called a role-playing game. Now, whether that role is somebody that talks a lot or somebody that's really strong, it's however you'd like to play it.
Yeah, and you're 100% right about that. And that's really the foundation of, I think, what everyone should remember. But to play devil's advocate, I also want to say that, for me, even in the name Power Gamer, they want the power.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
It's like they didn't come upon that name because they power through a session. It's not like, wow, that guy plays for a really long time. You know what I mean? It's not like, no, I want to have the power. And it's like, absolute power corrupts, James. No.
Corrupts absolutely.
Yes. What I'm saying is, even at their best, again, not an optimizer, not even a munchkin. This is getting into pedantics, but I've heard the term munchkin used as like people who kind of like optimize and even cheat a little bit now and then for a role player, for story, or for if it's that epic battle and they roll a 2, they're going to tell you they rolled a 14 because it barely hits. This might be this is totally unpopular, but every once in a while, I'm okay with that. Just don't tell me. And even if you do tell me, if it's cool for the story and you can describe it well enough, I might let that fly.
Yeah.
Did you just fall out of your chair? Maybe. But again, it's up to us. It's up to me. It's up to my group. Do we all think that that's fun? The Power Gamer, every opportunity they get, they are taking that power usually from someone else, whether it's the DM, the GM, other players, the story, whatever it is. So that brings me to this. How to deal with power gamers, right? And I think your advice was good. What did you say the number one thing to do is?
Don't play with them.
Just don't play. If it's not your style, don't play with them.
Exactly. Any player that doesn't gel with the group or isn't in for that sort of adventure, don't play with them. Whether they be a power gamer or a role player or, somebody that just like exploration or, don't play with that person.
Don't play with them if you don't like that style of play. So again, we're not saying this is wrong, but I am saying I think that every example I've seen of this in real life, it is selfish.
Exactly.
I've never seen it's like, wow, that power gamer just, oh God, I'm so glad I played with him. And I don't hear that often.
I think the word selfish there is important because, like you said, they're trying to take the power in a place where everyone should have power. That's the important thing. Because I thought of another interesting idea. So I recently saw a one-shot going up that I would be very interested in playing in. It seemed like a really cool idea. And these players were going to take Warhammer, and there's actually I think it's Warhammer 40k. They have an RPG, but they were going to take the Warhammer story and instead, play it with Fate or something. But the idea is, well, that brings up a good point, because you can play the miniatures game, and you're playing against another player. Both of you are trying to win. So when you're taking power, you're taking it from the other person. But that's the spirit of the game. That's the spirit of the game. Is you are trying to be better than the other person, roll higher than the other person, and just completely outplay them. But that isn't the case with Dungeons and Dragons, or really any RPG that I know of. You aren't against anyone. You are with everyone, even the dungeon master or the game master who may be trying to kill you.
Right.
So in some cases, it's okay to take the power because it's you versus them and you want to win. But it comes back to, I don't think there's any winners in Dungeons and Dragons. I would consider it more a cooperative game or a cooperative effort to tell a story and have a good time.
Yeah, you're right. And that sprang, because I want to get into the other solution, I think, for me when I'm playing with a power gamer or when I'm DMing a power gamer is really. But you know what that reminded me of? Take my spotlight analogy and change it into you're playing catch. And if during a collaborative game, because you said everybody has this power, if during a collaborative game, the person whose turn it is kind of holding the ball, to me, this power gamer, even though you're all on the same team running towards the same goal, he's trying to strip the ball from you. Yeah,
he's trying to be the one that scores.
Exactly. Even at the risk that you'll both not score.
Exactly. If it's not him, it's nobody. Him or her. It's
and,
nobody.
And so again, this is this fictional power gamer, but I'm drawing from my experiences with the people I have played with, and that's where this is all coming from. So the other thing to remember is, and DMs remember this, again, you might disagree with this because I'm very adamant about this. No one can outpower game the DM.
Exactly. It's impossible.
It's just, you can't, if the DM is doing it right. Now, granted, I'm not saying you need to fight fire with fire, but I'm saying if someone is at my table and we kind of rolling along and things are not going great, and after maybe a couple or three chances of like, hey, why don't we try it this way? Or, I am totally fine with saying, well, a unicorn riding a beholder swoops in and shoots you with the super shotgun from Doom, and you're dead. And your bones disintegrated because they were acid bullets. And if you're like, what? That's not fair. I'm like, sorry, man.
Exactly, because that is against the spirit of the game. The DM shouldn't be trying to kill the players. Actually, that brings up a really good point. What if the DM is a power gamer?
I was going to say that, but I thought we're going to go into a whole nother podcast. DM power gamers?
But so just to touch on it lightly, the idea is that the DM can do anything, but it's not fun if they do. If they just fudge every roll and decide that you die, it's like, what is the end game here? What is it? Is it fun for you to kill the players? If it is, find players that enjoy dying or a difficult time, and as long as you do it fairly, that's fine. I mean,
right, and that's, in fact, there's a style of play called a meat grinder that you actually have usually multiple characters ready because you know the DM's trying to kill you.
Exactly, but they're very likely trying to kill you within the confines of the rules. Now, they don't have to follow the challenge rating system, so they can throw, a double challenge rating monster at you and see what happens. But if they start making the monster roll at 20 every time, that's where it breaks down. That's where, again, it's against the spirit of the rules.
Right. And at that point, it's not collaborative storytelling. It's just one person telling a story about how you die.
Exactly.
And that's not fun.
I don't personally find that fun. And again, that's the most important part. If you enjoy it, do it. But I personally feel that a power gamer is someone that is selfish. And if that's what you enjoy, that's fine. But that is my sort of definition of what a power gamer does.
So yeah, we talked about power gamers, we talked about munchkins, we talked about optimizers, and there's a ton of levels in between. This is our opinion, but we make no apologies for that because I know the kind of people I like to game with, and I know I don't like to game with people that aren't interested in it being a team effort and being collaborative.
Exactly. And to sort of handle the meta of that opinion, I don't like people that put labels on other people and say that what they're doing is bad just because they don't like it. I don't think power gaming is bad, but I am not a power gamer and I don't enjoy it.
Exactly.
And I think making sure that everybody remembers that this is an opinion, that it's not that bad.
Let us know what you think. Let us know why we're wrong, why we're right. We just want to hear from you. And it is a conversation. Do you like playing with power gamers? Are you a power gamer? Do you enjoy when people... I don't want to start getting into like, well, this is why it's wrong. And I swear, it's like every time I talk about it, I start devolving into why I have never had fun playing with a power gamer. Now, we're going to wrap things up, but can I just say, I love me a good optimizer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They will save the day.
Yeah,
Thank God you took that spell, or we'd all be dead twice.
Exactly. There are certain times where it's like, it doesn't make sense to not pick the coolest thing. You know, it's like, in the character, or in the campaign, The Winds of Sir Salim we play in, my cleric recently got a spell called Speak to Dead.
Munchkin.
And you better believe that I'm going to use that to talk to a dead person and try to get answers from them.
But can I just say right now that if you haven't watched the campaign, Winds of Sir Salim, James had an opportunity to ruin a murder mystery. That was the session.
Yeah.
The session was, it was a murder mystery, and James had the ability to use Speak to Dead. And he probably waited like 2 minutes before he decided what he was going to say, because he didn't want to ruin the game for the rest of us.
Exactly. And
it was very early on in the game, and that would have been the end. Don't forget, conflict is story. If James's character, Gaharl Clanless, the Dragonborn, would have ended by saying, hey, I can talk to this dead woman. Hey, who killed you? Oh, all right, guys, let's go to the pub and wait for our next adventure.
Yeah.
I would have been upset.
And the important thing is, on the flip side, the DM could have come up, the DM could have come up with a clever reason why that wouldn't work, but because I didn't try it, there was no chance for me to feel cheated because he didn't want me to ruin the whole session with one spell that, he didn't realize that I took.
Well, and I'm going to disagree with myself. Because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'm just putting myself in the shoes. If someone brought this to me and said, hey, this is what happened, I would have said, you know what, though? If the DM doesn't realize that spell exists and it comes up, it's in the rules. That's not power gaming. That's not even optimization. That's a spell that's available to everybody. You got to wing it or stop and take a pause metagame and say, hey, I need a couple of minutes to come up with the answer that the dead person would give you because I have a bunch of stuff prepared and I didn't realize that spell was going to be there. This is how I would handle it.
Yeah. And
some GMs or DMs might think, well, what? I would level with my players and I would say, I need a 5-minute DM break to come up with something realistic and fair to tell you that isn't going to blow up the whole thing.
And on the flip side, it could very well have been, so I speak to this dead person and they don't know who killed them, but they can give me clues about who their enemies were. And because they're dead, maybe give me some clues that we later found out, things that they would have hidden before they died, but because now we're trying to solve their murders, they give us a little extra info. You can still do something really clever with that. But me as a player, thinking, again, role-playing, I'm thinking my character wouldn't be okay with, trying to speak to this dead person to get the answers because it's just not, it's a bit gruesome. And in general, it's like, yeah, in the rules, that's fine. I can do that. But not only did I feel like it might mess everything up and it would make a cool murder mystery not as cool, but I didn't think that my player or my character would do that. And so in that case, I decided against making what could have been the best possible outcome and thinking, well, no, I don't want to do that. That's not something I want to do.
And that's good. And you know what? You're making a lot of sense there. I think that you're right. And for a third time in a row, I'm going to disagree with myself. I'm having a fight over here with me. And it's really getting heated in here. It's okay with blowing the mystery up right in the middle. It's okay. Because We still can't find that person. They're still going to kill again. I'm just thinking, what would I do at the table? And I think after that 5-minute break, I would go, you know what? Now, what you said is actually smarter than what I was thinking, which is, I don't know who killed me, which is it's a good non-answer. It's a good answer that would make sense. So
exactly.
that's smarter than, that's why we DM together. But I think if the player cast the spell, I was doing that, I feel like I would say, okay, I need a 5-minute break, but at the end of that 5-minute break, if I didn't have that good James idea, I'd say, okay, it was...
this person for this reason.
Yeah, it was Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis in the News. Well, no, I wouldn't even give them the reason. I'd say that's who it was. And then I think if they're...
Well, so basically...
they still have to figure it out. Where's Huey Lewis right now?
Exactly.
Is he on tour? Is he going back in time? But... there now, it could create more tension, even. It could create more suspense.
Exactly. Basically, it's not necessarily ruining anything, because like you said, there's still things that need to happen. They could very well kill someone else, and you don't know where they are. So instead of the adventure being them trying to figure it out, yes, it will take a little bit of a turn, but again, that is the spirit of a collaborative RPG game, is RPG. Because the idea being that even if that's what the session becomes, if we're all playing and having fun, well, that's what would have happened. And, now there's still something, we're not, it doesn't ruin the game because we found out who it is. Exactly like you said.
Exactly.
It just changes the conflict a little bit, but we all still get to play, have fun, and role play what would happen.
So, to close out the podcast, why don't we talk about what a power gamer would do in that situation? And I have some ideas. You tell me if you disagree or if you want to add anything to this. A power gamer would say, okay, I used the spell to talk to the dead person. So whatever system you're using, we'll keep it relatively system neutral. I use a spell where I can talk to this corpse. Who killed you? It was Huey Lewis. Okay, now I use a spell, locate person. Where is Huey Lewis? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, now I use a spell, teleport to Huey Lewis. And basically what they're doing, as quickly as they can, they are getting to the... they're cutting to the chase, literally, without anyone else.
And the important thing there is that at every step, the DM can say, they don't know who killed them, or you can't find that person, or you can't teleport to that place. And the reason that may upset a power gamer is because, again, they're all about the rules. Well, why not? It says in the rule that I can. And it's like, well, then you're put in a weird spot because the DM is saying... well, you can't because that ruins it. You can't because it ruins the story for everybody. I know you technically can, but...
Right, and honestly, I think that the other thing is the more you DM, and maybe it's not so bad that you come across some power gamers, because the more you DM, the more you're going to say, okay, well, in this room, there will be a ward that will not allow people to teleport or see inside of it, and that is the killer's hideout. Or...
exactly.
the killer wore a mask, or the killer wore a disguise kit to look like someone else. It's like, the first time you do this, and you have a power gamer come through and basically crack all your ribs and punch your face as far as a storyteller goes, well, the next time, you're going to make sure to gird your loins against all those little tricks.
Yeah, you'll be ready for it. And again, you can still... there are still ways to get around somebody that, even if they're not a power gamer in general, wants to just teleport to where they are. And you as the DM, again, you're the ultimate power gamer. You should hopefully come up with a clever way, a clever reason it doesn't work. But you have every right to say, no, you can't.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people that are like, man, you guys are way too controlling, and you need to just let the game flow as it is. But you know what? I like the more storytelling aspect of being a DM. So I purposefully take a role in some of the outside forces that play a part in the game. Love it, hate it. If you don't like that, don't play at my table.
Exactly. That's the main thing. It comes down to that every time. Is my players will never be upset that I quote-unquote control. I'm too controlling because they enjoy storytelling. And in fact, it's unlikely that they will try to teleport right to the killer.
Right? Let's wrap it up with some homework. So, the monster you need to charm this week is this. Try to find a game with a power gamer in it. Just try, because you might find that you actually enjoy it. You might find that you hate it, but at least you'll know where you stand, and in the future, you can avoid it or seek it.
Exactly.
This has been Charm Monster. If you're listening on YouTube, then you can find us on tabletopterrors.com, where there are other articles and videos. If you're listening on one of our podcast providers, then you can find us either on YouTube or tabletopterrors.com. Or if you are one of the Dead Sector Radio listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We love being a part of Dead Sector Radio, and you can find us again on tabletopterrors.com. Really, I guess all roads lead to tabletopterrors.com, but we'd love to hear more from you. We'd love to have you subscribe to our newsletter so we can stay in touch. Let us know what you think of this. Let us know what you think of Power Gamers, and I guess until we talk again, may your dice roll high.